Shabbos, I heard this amazing story. This woman called Yehudis, one of the hostages in Gaza, who was released on the 20th of October. She told her she told her daughter, who she was captured with, when she went in, that she is not going to allow them to control her spiritual side. If they have their physical body, she's not going to allow them to control her spiritually. And she insisted on kosher food. She insisted on Shabbos. She insisted on washing her hands before she ate bread. And she actually, they listened to her. She said, I need a cup with which to wash my hands. There's running water. Could I use it? And they actually allowed her to do so. She said she had images in her mind of the story of the previous Rebbe when he was in captivity. And she was thinking of tzaddikim, the Rebbe, the Baba Sali, singing Jewish songs in her mind. That gave her strength. And it actually, she developed a rapport with one of the captors. And he says, "Oh, your name is Yehudis, that means Jewess." She says, "Yes, I am a Jew, and I'm going to live as a Jew, and therefore I need to wash my hands before I eat bread." And they respected that. And the captor, she kind of was saying, like, what are you guys doing? You know, it says in the 7 laws you're not allowed to kill. And Israel, don't you believe in the Bible? Israel belongs to the Jewish people. Why do we have to fight over it? You could live here, but why this? And he actually went back to his superior to ask, about the Bible. And the Quran says that the Bible is true, and the Jewish people are the people of the book. And absolutely remarkable to hear I heard it from the person who heard it from her, which is just amazing. What it tells us is that if we stand firm and strong by who we are and what we believe in, that it's respected by others. As a matter of fact, the most amazing thing with the story is that when she left, they said they said, we're going to light 2 candles for you and your daughter because you brought light into our environment. You brought light here. It's like, wow. And when we live as Jews and stand up for what we believe in and stand up for our rights for Israel because Hashem gave it to us in the Torah, then we are a source of light to the rest of the world. We're concluding the book of Bereshis this week, and the book begins with, as Rashi put, with a commentary of Rashi on the first verse, the first Rashi, to say that the reason the Torah begins with the story of Bereshis, even though it doesn't have many of the mitzvot of the Torah, it could have been easily part of the Tanakh, a part of Divrei Hayomim, the history. But it's one of the 5 books of Moses because this book tells us the rights of the Jewish people to Eretz Yisrael. Not only the fact that Hashem created the world and therefore he gave this part of the world to the Jewish people, but the entire process of how it happened, that Hashem chose one branch of the tree of humanity to choose as his people, the Jewish people, that they're going to be the ones to bring his light into the world. And he chose one land amongst all others, a small land amongst all others, to give to the Jewish people for where they are meant to fulfill their mission and purpose. And what we've seen throughout history is 2 things. Number one, the land never accepted another people. There was never a Palestinian state. It never existed. There were the Romans who had conquered it, but were never able to make it flourish. And the Byzantines, the Ottomans, the British, it was an extension of their empire. But it was not an independent land for a people, other than the Jewish people ever. The land will not take anybody else other than the Jewish people. And what we also see is that we as the Jewish people have never given up hope to come back to Eretz Yisrael. This has always been our vision, our view was always to go back to Israel. If you, 3 times a day, we said, our eyes shall see as we return to Zion. And after the Pesach Seder, we say, L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim. Even the beginning of the Pesach Seder, we say, here we are this year, next year in Jerusalem, next year in Israel. At the end of Yom Kippur, L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim. This has been always the message of the Jewish people for 1900 years, that we're going back to Israel. So it's like, for example, if I own a home and I go overseas, a squatter can move into my home, and if he does, even according to modern day squatter laws, that would not apply if from overseas are constantly saying, it's my home, I'm coming back to it. It's my home, I'm coming back to it. If I always say that, you can't steal my house. We were kicked out of Israel. We were kicked out of our land, but we never lost hope of coming back to it. We prayed for it 3 times a day. That's our rights to Israel. And when we say it with clarity, then the nations of the world will accept it. Like this Yehudis woman will be respected. And that's what we haven't tried. We haven't tried this tact. We've gone on about history, we've gone on about UN, we've gone on about the Holocaust. Those are reasons, but they're not the reason. They're not something that's compelling. What's most compelling for anyone who's a believer, and even if they themselves are not, they know we are, that in the book of books, in the Bible, it says that Israel belongs to the Jewish people. You know, during the battles in Israel between Arabs and Jews in the 1930s, there was a commission. The British made a commission, and Lord Peel, a Peel Commission was called. He was presiding over it, and they had there the Hebrew Bible, the Quran, and for Christians they had a New Testament. And they whoever testified obviously would take the hand on their Bible. And after Ben Gurion gave a rousing speech, he was asked by Lord Peel, where were you born? He said, Lodz. I think Lodz, or something like that. Where is that? In Poland. So he, under his mouth, in an undertone, but so everyone could hear, he says, isn't it funny that the Arabs who are testifying were all born around here, and the Jews who are testifying were born in Poland and elsewhere? So Ben Gurion says, and then he says to Ben Gurion, do you have a kushan? A kushan means a deed. Do you have a deed that this land belongs to you? And Ben Gurion says, absolutely have a deed. And he picks up the Bible and says, this is our deed. The Torah, that's our deed. That's our deed for Eretz Yisrael. That's what Ben Gurion said. I think it was 1939, 37 or 39. And that is true today. We have to pick up the Torah and the book of Bereshis and afterwards and say, this is our deed. Hashem gave it to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, to Joseph, to his brothers, to the Jewish people as we went out of Egypt. That's our deed. That Eretz Yisrael belongs to us. If we say it clearly, we'll be respected for it. It will be accepted. It will be received. Let's try it.